Welcome. In this video I'm going to teach you how to box model a sword from scratch. Um, First step I usually like to do when box modeling a sword is, very obviously you want to start off with a box. It doesn't really matter what size or shape, but if this is really your first time making a sword, or box modeling a sword for that matter, let's just stick with a simple shape like this. Let's move it to 0, 0, 0. That just helps it for when we go and use symmetry. It'll be easier to make sure that the mirror isn't off. Let's give 2 length segments, 2 width segments, and 3 height segments. Now I like to. You have to have it on edge faces, obviously, but you know that. I like to mess on clay. We're not doing any very complicated modeling, so clay is nice for this. It's easier to see shadows and whatnot. And by this point, we can easily put it in editable poly. First step we want to do is to move these rings here. About right there. Bring this one about right here. Now this is going to be a very simple sword. It's not going to be very complicated, as this is intended to be a simpler tutorial. And next step, we're going to make the edges of the blade sharp. And to do that, we're going to want to target weld these vertices to the center here. It's very straightforward, very simple. Okay. Now, next step, we want to highlight these. I usually just use slice plane for this step, but I actually kind of want to try using connect. And let's see how that works. Yeah, that worked perfectly. So we need to make another segment, and we can place it around right here. That works perfectly, and we're going to go back into our target weld. And we're going to want to target weld everything on top to the center vertice. And that's what's going to give us a nice pointed shape. Now you might be thinking, well, this is too pointy. Well, that's fine. If that's too pointy for you, we can easily go into slice plane or whatever cutting method you prefer. And I do prefer to do this step as well. I do think it's too pointy. And slice it. Now I also do think that this is too high up. So let's bring this down a little bit. Let's bring this down a little bit. Oh, that's too much. There you go, that's perfect. Alright. Now obviously this is too thick for a sword, so let's try and skew this down a little bit. Alright, that's much nicer. Now I don't usually do this step, and this is optional, but I like to do this. with some of my swords. Here we're going to make the groove. I don't know exactly what it's called, but I'm pretty sure swords have them to make them lighter. There's some rumors that they are made so that when you joust someone, for say, the blood comes out of them easier. But it's really to make the sword lighter. We're gonna grab these two vertices right here and make another connect. Now if these are too far apart for your groove, that's fine, you can place them closer together, but for our purposes this is fine. And we're going to want to grab these two new polygons and bevel these inward. So let's start off by making these 0. Makes working just a little bit easier. And just push it in a little bit. You don't want to go in too far or else it might collide with the other one. And that's how we get that groove. I think it looks really nice. For a video game, I'm not really sure. I mean, it doesn't add too many more polys, but you want to be careful. But this looks fine. Usually a good texture artist can give a sword this effect without adding the polygons, but since we wanted our models to look nice, we'll add it in anyways. And if you would like, you can bring these ones down too. Alright, so that's the blade. We got the blade, super easy. We're not going to worry about the backside. Here, let's raise this just to match edge flow. There we go. Alright. So next step is to make the guard, which is it can be a little tricky with the box modeling method, but it works just fine. We're gonna start off by beveling these two edge pieces right here. Should be under the two triangles. If you don't have this shape, then right here, then you forgot a line segment at the beginning, but that's fine. We're going to grab these two box pieces right here, and we're going to bevel these. Okay, well obviously it's going to have to be local normal. Sorry. Okay, why is it doing this? The hell? Oh. Duh. Sorry about that. Yeah, you can make this shape whatever you want, but I'm gonna go with a curved shape. There we go. And that looks fine. Bring that in a little bit. Let's rotate this a little bit forward. Sorry if you can hear my music, by the way. I'm not gonna turn it off. Alright, that looks fine. Next step is also optional, but since we want this to look nice, I'll go ahead and do this anyways. I'm not sure if this will work with Connect, but let's give it a shot. Wait, is this the right ones? Yeah. Yeah, it worked. But we're gonna want 2. Yeah. Here, this is just purely optional. If this you don't want this, what we're gonna do is make this curve in, and it'll look really nice. So yeah, there we have it. It has a very nice little curve at the bottom. It's fairly simple. Still haven't used any other pieces. Now if you want to like have spikes or something, then you probably should go and start using other shapes, but for our basic sword shape we can do this purely with box modeling. Now at this point you can use symmetry, because using the grip, the one thing I would say that box modeling method for swords lacks is making the grip is kind of tricky, and I'll admit that even I myself haven't found the best method for it. And yes, I like to just use one viewport, so deal with it. No, I say it's tricky just because you end up getting these odd shapes here at the grip, and sometimes these shapes are a little undesirable. I think that'll work. Yeah, that'll be fine. So we're gonna bevel this again, except not let that happen. Actually, that does look a little skinny. Okay, yeah, that looks fine. Except we don't want to drop all the way down. We'll have one here. Now, okay, if you want to keep this slow poly, just don't add any polygons to the grip. But again, for our purposes, since we want this to look kind of nice, we'll add them anyways. So there. Now it's a fairly balanced grip. Now to make this round, whether or not you want to be round, I like them to be round. Oops, I was holding my macro key. We're just gonna grab all these vertices right here, bring it outwards. Hold up. Except this one. We don't want that one. Maybe. See, like I said, I have not found the perfect method for making a grip yet, so I'm here. Should we cut another one? I don't know. Actually, let's bring this one up. Won't be using more polygons, and it'll still look fine. Now, obviously for a game, we would want this to be as low poly as possible, so we probably would not ever add grooves to the grip. Unless the sword was a display per se of the actual sword that will be used by a character, like something you would see floating in an inventory selection screen or something, then you might, just to make it look nice, because you know you can use all the polys you want there if it's just a menu screen. We're gonna do the same to the front ones if you want. Actually, I'm just gonna leave those. Nah, I'll use them. I will use them. Let's bring these out a little bit. So as you can see, that's rounded somewhat. Is it rounded perfectly? No. But at this point, we do want to add in our symmetry layer. And hopefully you know how to do this. If you don't, it's fine. We just go to our modifier list, scroll all the way down, symmetry, right there. Let's start with the x-axis. Make sure that the mirror is on 0, 0. It is. And since we can see that it's perfect, we can collapse all. Go down to symmetry again. Let's go to Y. Collapse all again. Now you can put in both symmetries at the same time and collapse them at the same time, but it doesn't really matter. Whichever way you prefer. So there we go. That is a very nice grip in my opinion. Now for the grooves. Yes, I almost forgot. Now I only have 2 right here, but so I can only really have 1. Now you can cut in as many grooves as you want, but I mean, you really don't need them. It just makes a sword look a little bit more shapeful, I guess. More organic, more whatever you might call it. There we have it. Now for the pommel. The last thing we're going to be making on our sword, the pommel. Now the pommel can take up more polygons than we may desire, but I usually like to have a round shape, and it's fairly simple. We're just gonna bevel this outwards, make this 0. I just like starting on 0, makes it easier. Let's give it this nice round shape, cylindrical shape here. There we have it. Now let's just stretch this out a little bit. Yeah, this definitely works as a pommel. It's not a very fancy pommel, but you know, it's fine. So there we have it, a very simple sword. It's not too complicated. It's simple. It works. Now, if this were textured, it could look very nice. Now, of course, we could continue to bevel in and add our own shapes if we want. It's untextured right now, of course. But you understand the point. Now this would probably be fairly acceptable, as far as I know. I'm not a professional, if you can't tell. I'm just a kid learning 3D modeling, and I decided to share what I know. So do not take me as a professional. If you want to learn as I learned, I would recommend going to gameinstitute.com and buying just their cheapest course, which is just $50, and you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot, like seriously. I'm talking entire like years of college information all right in front of you. You can learn programming, Unity, 3D modeling, story, character modeling. You can learn so much. And in my opinion, it is the best way to learn. So there we have it. A two-handed sword. Very simple. You can keep modeling yours if you desire, but this will do. Thanks for watching.